It is going just fine here. I am staying awake for the show here tonight. I have been an old man and fallen asleep really early lately. I'm glad not to be working my second job. I do love it, actually, but it's nice to just be here and to talk about what I love for a little while.
Dude, I feel that. I just got told that no one could hear me do the intro, so I'm gonna do a full-on Nintendo Rewind and redo that intro real quick. Welcome to Nintendo Rewind. I'm Cody Christian, and I'm joined by Josh Taylor, hosting the premier podcast covering the biggest Nintendo news, announcements, and reviews. We are rewinding and recapping last week for Nintendo. But we just heard from Josh about how his week has been, at least a little bit of it. Thankful to not be working tonight. How was the rest of your week, man? Anything crazy fun happen? You had like something going on tonight with your kiddo, right?
Oh yeah, tonight was just there's always something. There's dance. There's tonight was a school thing. It was, I don't really know what you call it. It was like a little school program where the elementary school all goes up and they all sing and things like that. So it was fun. We're always doing something. Like I said, if I'm not working my second job, we're doing something with her, and it's just running constantly. Dude, it's not really a bad thing though.
I don't doubt it. You guys are busy people. So like, I can only imagine. I know you're pulling the old second Chick-fil-A job trying to get to Disney. So I don't blame you, man.
It's a big part of it.
I don't blame you. You got to put in that work.
I'd end up kind of loving it the way I am now. I'll say, well, I'll just say there might be more of a future there than I was expecting. But
I think that quote belongs to McDonald's. I'm loving it. That's not Chick-fil-A.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that my pleasure?
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah, I broke it.
Oh man. But no, I will tell you, like, my week has been like a mix of uphill, downhill. Like, we had a really, really good week last week. We went on a small family vacation. I took like 3 days off from streaming, so nobody saw my face until I think Saturday was when I came back online, and then I was like dying. We did like an hour-long stream because I got sick while we were on vacation, which, I mean, it was still a good time. It was way worth it. We went to Gatlinburg, Tennessee. My mother and father took us. So my sister, my mom, my dad, my boys, myself, and my wife, we were in a pretty sizable cabin down in the Smoky Mountains, and it was really nice. It was really pretty. There wasn't any snow, even though there was like a threat of snow when we were headed down there. But the time that we spent down there was just absolutely beautiful. Like, Dollywood does this, which that's the big theme park down there. Good old Dolly Partonville. Okay. Dollywood was lit up for Christmas. They had like, I forget exactly what that festival was called, and Mrs. Nerdwile will probably correct me in the comments here to let me know what it was called. I think it was like Winter in the Smokies or Christmas in the Smokies or something like that. But it was like really cool. We saw a bird show. We saw a comedy show. We saw a musical while we were there. We went and had some good food. I ate alligator because they had it on the menu, and it's something I hadn't tried, and I always try out the like weirdest, strangest thing that I can possibly find every single time I see a crazy cool menu. But it was a good time, and then the drive back was okay. Mrs. Nerdwire and I both feeling like we were about to die on the drive back because her nose had been running. She already wasn't feeling good, and I was on the cusp of catching whatever it is that she ended up having. But I don't know, dude. It was a good time, and then I spent like 3 days bemoaning my existence in bed. So, and I'm on the recovery side of that right now.
Well, that's good. At least you're on the recovery end of it. You sound all right. You sound normal to me.
Thank you. I appreciate
it. A little something in there, maybe.
There's a lot more liquid going in, trying to like liquidate the lozengify the esophageal passage. I'm trying my best to just moisturize at this point. Please let my voice hold up to the end of this show.
And I apologize. I was messaging him almost daily, kind of forgetting he was on vacation. So that was real nice of me.
You were good, dude. Like, I tend to unplug when I go on vacation. So like, I didn't even look at my phone hardly at all until we got back, and then I saw all the messages from you and like a bunch of the notifications, because there were a bunch of people in my Discord, my Nerdwire Plays Discord. They were blowing up about the Game Awards and having a good time, and I normally try to like co-stream that and give my own thoughts, but where I was out of town, there was just no way I could do it. So it was just cool to see the community reacting and chatting it up in there and talking about TGA and everything like that. So, but I unplugged, so I didn't get to see any of it until I got back on Friday night.
Yeah, that was a lot to unpack. I didn't really watch it. I was at work. I forgot to actually to throw in there, if it's okay. My book, the little pre-order page went up this past week. So like it's got its own little website and stuff now. The Kickstarter was a while back. It was good, but it's really, really close to getting published finally. I'm excited about that one. That's definitely a highlight.
That's so good, man.
We are almost there. Either by the end of December or January or something, somewhere in that range.
For those who missed the live episode last week and didn't stick around for the chatting right after, Josh talked about he is an accomplished children's book author, and he's got a new book coming out called The Adventures of Kanna and Charlie, The Wonderfully Wild Adventures of Kanna and Charlie, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And Charlie. Yeah.
Look at me go. But he has got a beautifully illustrated children's book. It's available. If you're watching the video version, you can see the cover image there. If the camera will ever focus,
a little glimpse of it. Yeah, it's not focusing real well.
Listen, it's that teaser. It's that teaser. If you want to know more, look up Wonderfully Wild Adventures of Kanna and Charlie, and I'm sure we'll post a link to it too in the Facebook group for anyone who wants to go check that out and support him. It's awesome, man. Yeah. Dude, that's so cool. I am proud of you, and I hope that the rest of the book publication process goes easily, because I know that's not an easy process. I mean, this has been months in the making for you, hasn't it?
Oh yeah. It's been a bit of a process for different reasons. Everybody's really put a lot of effort into it there to make this thing happen. Stuff happens and it kind of slows down the whole process for anything. But we're finally getting there, and hopefully the next one, we'll just kind of keep flowing, kind of keep something going with it.
I know exactly how that goes. Well, with that being our intro, and with that wrapping that up, Josh, why don't you take us over to our news section for MyNintendo digital and physical rewards, my friend?
All right, so we're going to start out with the simple stuff. The first one, of course, is there is now a 7-day free trial for the Nintendo Switch Online. It would usually be like a certain amount of platinum points for something like that. It says 0 platinum points is the way they have it listed. So that's not like a family plan or anything. It's just an individual free day trial. So that would give you obviously access to being able to play online games like Mario Kart or Smash Brothers or something. If you don't already have that. And you should also be able to play a lot of the other apps, like the Super Nintendo games and the Genesis, and there's a few of them. You cannot play the expansion pack ones, like the 64 one. But no, you can get access to a decent bit there for at least a week to give that a shot if you don't already have it. After that, there is a sweepstakes also on MyNintendo for... if you've seen the sweepstakes on there before, a lot of them seem to be this way. For 10 platinum points apiece, you can go up to 3 entries. So this one is the Glow Up Superstar Sweepstakes. Let me pull it back up here. It actually has I don't have any first 4 figure statues myself, but I would like to. This one has a nice Mario Kart one with it. I believe a Superstar plushie. Let me look up the detail on this one here, because these are a little bit different. I'm not sure if it's like a Hori brand controller, but it's like a little Superstar looking controller in a nice case with it. It actually looks pretty nice. It's not too busy or anything. So yeah, you can win that. You can sign up for it up to 3 times. And I believe the one for the theme park for the Super Nintendo World is still active as well. So if you can sign up for that one, I know I did that one.
It is.
Yeah, I definitely used 3 entries on that one at least. Now there is a few more physical awards that just went up actually today. I've been keeping an eye out, really hoping we were going to get like some Super Mario RPG good stuff here. I think Europe did. But no, it seems like that's not the case.
I think Nintendo notoriously hates America for like their MyNintendo rewards. We never get any of the good stuff.
Have you ever seen the Kirby stuff Japan gets? Like, I know it's made in Japan, but my gosh, they get a lot of like crazy amounts of. They have a Kirby cafe. Like, my daughter would love that. I'd love to take her there. Anyway.
We just need to convert to Japanese people. Like, we're just going to go across the ocean and go become citizens there. It'll be fine.
Well, moving on to the physical rewards that we did get. There's a Super Mario like holiday Christmas ornament for 500 platinum points. It's a little. I'm going to make it sound worse than maybe it is. It's like a little oval with a bunch of the characters on it. It looks fine enough. It'll probably show up after Christmas, so I guess you can get it for next year if you want. But outside of that, there's also the MyNintendo 2024 desktop calendar. If you like those, it's not really my kind of thing. I don't really like just ripping pages off the calendar I paid for. Maybe I'm weird. I end up throwing away the calendar at the end of the year anyway. But
I think this one's a little different. I think it's like cards instead of like pages you have to rip out.
It may be.
Because they look very like contoured edges on it. I really like it. I think it's neat.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it's kind of one of those things. I feel like if I was already paying the shipping for something else, maybe I'd slap it on there.
Right.
And it's not bad.
Platinum points too, like it's not terrible. Like it's 400 platinum points. I think this last week I actually got in an order. I had earned some platinum points. I wanted to get another one of the Splatoon 3 like reusable shopping bags, the tote bags that they have on there. Of those. Yep. They're freaking amazing. They're so good quality. And Mrs. Nerdwire and I used the other one to death, and it was like, well, I could get another one of those. And there were these like shoe charms that were on there. I think I might have talked about this on last week's episode. They had Pikmin shoe charms, but
I got my daughter some. Yep.
They weren't what I thought they were going to be. I thought they were going to be Croc Rocks. And next thing I know, because like, I'm sorry, I'm going to out myself and my entire family. We are Croc wearers in this house. Yeah. Big old Croc fam. I thought they were going to be Croc Rocks. They came in, they're shoelace, like shoe charms.
I don't know if I paid any attention to that. She has Crocs, actually. I thought that was what it was going to be.
Yeah, I was frustrated.
We haven't really opened them.
So if you are curious about what those are, they are not Croc charms. They are shoelace charms, but they're cool. It's like the little red, blue, and yellow Pikmin. They're neat.
You get some odd rewards on there sometimes, like those and the little koozie things and whatever. It's like, okay, and a luggage tag. But whatever. Okay. I mean, I kind of miss Club Nintendo sometimes. There's some good stuff that pops in and out of there.
I'm with you.
Now, outside of that, the other edition is a digital reward. It's the icons. It is the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet icons. I believe it's actually themed after the DLC. I cannot think of the name of it right now.
Hidden Treasure of Area Zero.
Yes, yeah, that's it. And it has a lot of the stuff from that. I haven't played it. I've played the game, but I haven't played the DLC. If it's like Scarlet, or not Scarlet and Violet, Sword and Shield, if it's like that, I didn't really bother with the DLC on that one either. I don't know why. This one's better than Sword and Shield, I think, but it's not bad. It's just, I don't know. It's just there.
I kind of understand.
I don't know.
I've been looking for a reason to go back to play more Scarlet and Violet, and I've been waiting for all of the DLC to be out at once. So I didn't play part 1 because I was just gonna pick it up after part 1 and part 2 are both out and just kind of play it back to back. But I'm with you. Like, I didn't do anything with Sword and Shield's DLC. Honestly, I didn't even beat to completion Sword or Shield. I bought both of them, and I didn't beat them. Yeah. But Scarlet and Violet, I played to death. I really enjoyed that game. And I'm kind of in the minority.
For some reason, I haven't beat it. I've got all of one of the side quest things, and I was playing it. My daughter and my wife, we all got our own versions. It's been a good time, but then we just sort of fall off. We've had a couple spurts at it, and then we just kind of fall back off. But we're close. We'll maybe eventually get there.
I believe in you, Josh.
Well, whenever I decide to pick it up again, and maybe we all actually get somewhere in it. Yeah, we're doing pretty well. It's I do hope the next Pokemon steps it up just a hair.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what's next here is the events going on. So would you like me to cover those as well since we are here?
Yeah, you can jump into those. It's totally fine. Tell the people about the things.
There is a couple of them. So there's another Tetris 99 Maximus Cup gonna happen. We've had a few of those lately with several games we've gotten in the past few months. This one is for Super Mario Brothers Wonder, and it runs from December the 14th, which is Thursday, to the 18th, which is, again, we talked about this last week, is a little odd because there was, in the order of release this year, there was Mario Wonder, there was WarioWare, and then there was Mario RPG. And then these Maximus Cups were in the opposite order, or I think WarioWare was first, and then it did Mario RPG, and now we're back at Wonder. I don't know why, but hey, we're getting it, so that's cool. I sort of like these little themes. I usually go in and win them, or get my butt kicked for a while until I drag myself to 100 points, and then I'm like, "Ooh, I got it!" And then I don't really do anything with it, but I got it.
Dude, that's those are the. I mean, we talked a little bit about it last week, but that's the kind of game that I just have a really hard time playing, especially like when you got to drag yourself through to get a reward. I remember playing Mario Kart Tour back when the Super Mario 35 pins were available, and it was like one of those qualifying missions you had to do. And I hated Mario Kart Tour with everything in me. It was such a it was a slog. I don't want to call it a bad game, but it was a slog to get through, and just to be able to get these pins, or the possibility of getting those pins, which I lucked out.
That was a whole thing in itself.
I lucked out.
Yeah.
I had some good friends that got me the first set off of eBay because I missed the first set. I did get the second set, and then I got a replenishment because I was working at GameStop at the time, and they sent a full complete set in box. I think I brought you a set last year. Was that what I brought you last year on
I was gonna say you helped me with that too,
Black Friday.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, it was awesome.
But I just as far as that goes, it's one of those games that I do not find myself actually like investing any time into to be able to unlock this, because it will just beat me down.
Yeah, I know this isn't about tour. It's I have very complicated feelings on that.
I understand
that. Let's see. So the other event really is the Super Smash Bros. Ultimate 5th year anniversary event. It's one of those where it runs from December the 7th to December the 12th, which is today. So I think it's still going on at the moment. I did not check just before we started, but it's very close to ending. Yeah. Now again, that's mostly for you get things like the experience points and things for like your spirits, and certain spirits I believe will pop up more often. I've already got all the spirits and things for that a long time ago, so I'm just kind of, it's cool that they're doing it, but if you haven't got that, it's a good time to jump in and do it. A little reminder on that is they are doing new spirits, I believe, in January. They're adding from a few games on there. I'm not sure if they've officially announced all of them. So that's a neat thing coming up, at least.
I think that's 4 times in total is what they mentioned, right? So each week, one each week, essentially, of January.
So they're at least doing something.
There was something else they talked about in here, though, that I thought was interesting, where they are talking about doing more stuff, more events throughout the year of 2024. And if I could find it here, where is it? It was in this article. Here it is. So they talked about doing more content. A blog post by this guy named Zippo, who's a leaker and insider, revealed that Nintendo has a series of announcements coming to mark the 25th anniversary of Super Smash Bros. According to his sources, Nintendo's planning announcements, celebrations, and events to commemorate the anniversary of Smash throughout the year, which I think is cool. But for me, I used to be a pretty hardcore Smash player, and I've dropped off since. But like for me as a casual, it's got to be more than just spirits. Like for me as a casual, it's got to be more than just spirits to draw me back and play that some more. Give me stages, give me costumes. I'll be happy. They don't even have to give me like Fighters Pass, whatever number that we're on. Like I would be fine with some stages getting added and some extra costumes getting added, even if it's just me costumes to play around with.
Like a new mode or something, just something else different to do.
Subspace
I don't know what
Emissary?
Exactly.
Give me Subspace Emissary. Just bring it here.
That was much better for a number of reasons.
Oh my gosh.
In my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, they had the cutscenes. Like, the Smash Ultimate did not feature the cutscenes that I would have anticipated the way that Subspace Emissary did in Super Smash Bros. Wii, whatever that was called. Was it Brawl?
Brawl.
So
I want to see the characters interact and things. That was a big part of the fun of that. And then like the endings in World of Light made no sense to me and seemed like just didn't fit the.
It took so long to get there too. I
didn't get it.
By the time you get there, you totally forget everything that was built up anyway. So
can I say a spoiler actually there?
You might see.
There was one cool part. that actually did get me excited in that is the little like Donkey Kong Country area. Did you make it there? I'm assuming.
I did. I finished out that
was
entire
amazing.
mode. I had a good time with it. My favorite part, and again, we're going to be
Good.
spoiling a 5-year-old game here just a little bit, but the fact that you get the chance to play as a hand. The fact that you get the chance to play as a hand blew my mind.
That was cool. I'm sorry, you were right about that. That was one of those like. It felt like that was for the fans, you know?
It was, because growing up, like, everybody on the freaking playground was telling me, hey, if you put in this code, or if you beat your challenge mode fast enough, you can play as Master Hand. And I was like, what? No way! And so I tried to do that, and it was like, no, you don't get to do any of that. Liars.
That was cool. That was very, I don't know why I forgot about that. That was special.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know. That's kind of where I land on it. That was my favorite, but yeah,
I've always loved this series, but I've never been like a big. I've never been a competitive guy. Like I put hundreds of hours on like all of them, but I can't do the competitive stuff.
You're good though. You're good though.
It's not really why I'm there.
You're maining Yoshi though. That's the thing. Is
well, yeah, because it's Yoshi. It's my favorite character. Like I've always done that. But also Banjo-Kazooie is here now, so I use them a lot. I'm not there for the moves. It's like I love this character, so I'm going to learn how to play this character at least decently. You know, in my circle, I'll be good.
That's fair. That's kind of what I did with a lot of the characters too. My main was for the longest time. I used Animal Crossing Villager because I really loved him, and then I discovered that I was good, naturally gifted with Corrin from Fire Emblem. Sorry. I know we have plenty of JRPG guys on there, but you know, I really enjoyed playing as Corrin, but he gets hard countered.
I will say Corrin is one of the ones I actually kind of like. Like I know a lot of people hated him. He was different enough, and I actually played Fire Emblem Fates, and I mostly enjoyed it.
Yep,
so I like Corrin. Corrin was fun.
I was a big Birthright Conquest guy, so getting the chance to play as, because that was like my first serious dipping my toe into Fire Emblem in general. Was that specific game, and then I went backwards and enjoyed a lot of the others. But Corrin, he's got a place in my heart, or she, whichever gender you choose. But he or she has a place in my heart because it's my first one. So
I got the special edition for that one. I had like all three of them on one cart. Like that was a really good deal, honestly, for what it was.
Right.
Yeah. I hope we'll see where that series goes. That could be a whole topic in itself.
I'm 1000%.
It's interesting.
I don't know. Like after Fire Emblem Engage, I'm keeping my fingers crossed we see something a little bit more along the lines of Three Hopes again. So, I don't know if we'll ever see a true sequel to Three Houses, Three Hopes, whatever it's called. My bad. Three Houses. But there's also another game that I don't believe that we are going to be getting a sequel to either.
Yep.
And that actually kind of moves us into our main topic tonight, and that is. Director Eiji Aonuma, in an interview with Game Informer magazine, Brian Shea from there had talked about what the future of Zelda looks like and whether or not we're going to be seeing an actual sequel or a follow-up in the style of Tears of the Kingdom / Breath of the Wild. Brian Shea had asked, in that same notion where you did earlier this year, confirmed that there won't be any DLC for Tears of the Kingdom because you've already accomplished everything you want to accomplish with this game. Have you ruled out another direct sequel? Eiji Aonuma-san says, well, that would be a sequel to a sequel, which is getting a little bit wild when you think about it. But as I've mentioned previously, with Tears of the Kingdom, we were seeking to build on top of a world we created with Breath of the Wild and really exhaust the possibilities of what we could put into that world. I think it's easy to use a bit of a term, an apotheosis, or the final form of that version of The Legend of Zelda. In that regard, I don't think we'll be making a direct sequel to a world such as that we've created. And there's a part of me that has some, like, very, very big feelings about that. Like, I loved Breath of the Wild, and I genuinely adored Tears of the Kingdom. Like, probably more than Breath of the Wild in many ways. We talked about it a little bit last week. I think Tears of the Kingdom overall is a better realized game than Breath of the Wild is, even if it is padded a little bit to its detriment. But I would like to see more in that specific universe, but it's not even just that specific game either. I mean, there are plenty of other games in that franchise that I would like to see a direct sequel to. I'd love to see more with Wind Waker itself. not Phantom Hourglass or whatever else they put out that was in that Wind Waker style. I would love to see another follow-up to Minish Cap. I would love to see a direct follow-up to Skyward Sword. But do I think those things are going to happen? Absolutely not. Those are never going to happen in a million years. But this was one of those few times that you get a sequel that is actually truly a sequel in a Zelda game. Because the only times I can really think of that I would almost consider them sequels or set in that same world would be Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time, and Link Between Worlds and A Link to the Past. I think are very closely related. And this was probably the third time that we've ever seen that, and I would like to see a finale of sorts, which this felt like a finale. In the first game in Breath of the Wild, you take on Calamity Ganon. In this one, you take on Dry King, Demon King Ganon. So I don't know where they would go from there in terms of enemy, other than turning to something like Vati, because Vati's been very, very prevalent in the Zelda franchise as a whole. But I still think that world is ripe with stuff to do, and I want to ask how do you feel about it, Josh? Where are you at on it?
When you say that world, like I do kind of feel like Breath of the Wild, and what is the Hyrule Warriors spinoff that's sort of related to Breath of the Wild?
Age of Calamity. Yes,
thank you. Like I like what that did and sort of built on that story, at least in that world. Granted, I know it was like kind of not canon. I don't want to completely ruin it. There's no need to, I guess. But I know it's not really not canon up to a certain point. But it was kind of interesting. It sort of was a nice what if situation. You got to see different characters. I like how that built on it. And I like how Tears of the Kingdom built on that some as well. It left out some odd things, but I don't really need to go back to that same Hyrule again. Like, it was fine twice, but I don't really feel the need to have to explore the same areas a third time over again. I don't really know how they do it. I don't know if I want another spinoff. I feel like there is still some room in that version of Hyrule, so to speak, or that version of those characters maybe, that could be expanded on. I don't know. I'm really torn on what I want next, honestly, because part of me wants that. I don't want to just see it completely die off. I wish they could just do a little something else. Maybe DLC could have been a good answer to that. Doesn't seem like that's going to happen. But I don't know. I almost lean more towards not necessarily a straight return to formula, but maybe find a way to sort of marry the two. Like Tears of the Kingdom I think was a little closer to where it brought back like a fire temple and things like that was really cool. But it was still not quite, maybe. I don't know if it's just not quite what I was expecting, or, it's not the game I grew up with. So I'm a little torn on that. I haven't really, I don't know if I have one strong opinion on that one way or another, because I love both for their own reasons. I don't know. I know I'm jumping back and forth a lot on that. I can't really decide what I want next out of that. Like I said, I one more good go at it. Maybe another Hyrule Warriors or something would kind of satisfy me on that Breath of the Wild world, so to speak.
I think I get that. I mean, that's kind of where I the more you talked about it, the more I realized like maybe I am kind of done with this world and want to see them actually like innovate on setting and story, and do something different like they've continued to do and iterate. I do wonder whether or not open world Zelda is going to continue to be the formula that we see. Maybe not set in that version of Hyrule, but open world Zelda as a whole, I think may kind of continue to be the direction they go with that franchise, because you can definitely tell. I mean, they made a direct sequel. It worked. Like there was a reason to do it.
It does.
But there's another part of me that's like, I do kind of want just a return to form. My favorite Zeldas are top-down Zeldas. I like 3D Zeldas, and I loved Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild. But Link's Awakening, Oracle of Seasons, Link to the Past, And I mean, and so many more of those. Minish Cap is my number one favorite Zelda of all time, period. I would say a return to top down would be cool to see again. And I don't know that we'll get that in a mainline Zelda again.
Right.
It's going to be disappointing. It's going to break my heart if we don't get an isometric top-down view Zelda. Like 2D. And it's hard to call it 2D because it's not like exactly 2D, but you know what I mean.
Right. If they do that now without like the 3DS out, or it's not really in the picture anymore. They put a Link Between Worlds on, but on the Switch they did the Link's Awakening like remaster, remake, whatever you want to call it, and I thought that worked out really well. I thought that looked great. I feel like they could almost do something like that and just give it a really pretty art style. I think they could get away with it. I don't know if we're going to get it, but I feel like that could almost scratch that itch, maybe, so to speak. Like have something like that, a nice, pretty top-down one. Kind of a basic, not super, we've already done this before, but sort of a basic Zelda formula, and then still have its own like unique open world, trying completely new things, going on elsewhere. I almost said another sequel to Breath of the Wild, but just another big 3D game. Maybe you can still sort of have both going at once. And that way, kind of keeping everybody happy to an extent.
That would be a cool way to subvert expectations. So kind of trying to pick up what you're putting down. Are we saying we do an isometric top-down Zelda, and then you do this Link Between Worlds style where suddenly you go into 3D? Is this Super Paper Mario? Is that what we're going for now?
No, I was talking two completely separate games, but I guess that could work too, actually.
I think it would subvert expectations. It'd be cool because you'd be jumping into that thinking you're getting a top-down Zelda, and then suddenly you're in this 3D world. Like, I think it would be... There's so much possibility between what Nintendo could possibly do. And I mean, here's the thing, is like, we don't really know what to expect with Zelda as a whole. I mean, clearly there's going to be an adventure. Like, clearly Link is going to be your hero. But beyond that, you don't know what to expect with boss. You don't know if you're going to get Vati, or if you're going to get Ganondorf, or if you're going to get Ganon, or if you're going to get the numerous other villains that you've seen throughout the franchise as the main villain. You don't know if you're going to get cartoon Toon Link, or realistic gritty Link, or Kid Link, or I mean, Nintendo has changed things so many times with Zelda that I don't think there's any way you can point to it and go, there's a formula here, this is what they're going to do next. And that's exciting as a player because I don't know what they're going to do next. My only hope, though, is through them trying to subvert my expectations, that they come out with something that is just as wonderful as Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild were, or just as wonder-inducing as Super Mario Bros. Wonder. And if anything, I think Wonder has kind of proven Nintendo's ability to take something that we know and love and kind of just tweak it just a little bit to give it that pizzazz, to really kind of change what your expectation of that franchise would be. And my hope is that they do that same thing with Zelda. And they will. They will. I don't know what I'm going to get. I know what I want. But I don't know what I'm going to get.
I think one thing for me with like the 3D formula, so to speak, I'll just say with like what Ocarina of Time started versus what Breath of the Wild started. One thing I do sort of prefer with like the Ocarinas, the Majoras, Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, I feel like I can go back to those like every few years, and I love to. That's one of my favorite series of like all time, is just Zelda in general. But for me, I lean a little more towards the 3D ones. I love every one of them. But with like Breath of the Wild, I went back and messed with it once and kind of did a lot of the main stuff. But I don't feel like I can replay that one in Tears of the Kingdom so easily. Like, they're so big. Yeah. I feel like I get a big chunk, hundreds of hours maybe, when it first comes out. And then it's like, it's really hard to go back to even a few years later. It's like, that's a huge time commitment. Maybe that's a personal thing, more than an actual issue. I don't know. But I feel like they could still... I feel like it's really hard to go back on an open world, isn't it? I guess after like Breath of the Wild being so huge and Tears, I don't know if I can just say I wish they just make the world a little smaller. I don't know if that's exactly the answer either. it's one of those things where it's just like I don't know if I have the answer for exactly even what I want. I do trust this team. I know that sounds kind of maybe cheesy, I guess, but I just from what they put out before and from what Alnuma has been behind, I've pretty much loved everything. Maybe I'm more excited than worried, I guess, at this point, because I don't know what's coming. It could be something completely different at this point.
I would agree. I think we are going to get something completely different. I do trust the team. I trust Aonuma and the dev team that's behind that. I'm not sure. I didn't pay attention to what Hidemaru Fujibayashi's role was with the development of that game. Was he his like co-developer? I can't remember. That being said, like director Hidemaru Fujibayashi. Yes, he was the director, and Eiji Aonuma was the producer on that title. But I trust their vision. I think they're going to do something really, really good, and something that is going to shake up what we know of Zelda in a very similar way. My heart still says, give me something top down in 2D. I think it would be a good transition, getting off of the Tears of the Kingdom Breath of the Wild train. I think it would be a good way to get people some distance away from that 3D style and not have people going, why wasn't this like Tears of the Kingdom when the next 3D title comes out? The sting will have kind of worn off, and they have given you something else to really, really pay attention to. But I mean, I will say there was a lot of stuff that if I were to call this a sequel, part of me wants to not call it a true sequel. There's a lot of stuff they left on the cutting room floor. I mean, where the heck are Guardians in Tears of the Kingdom? You know, there are many different examples of just stuff that they just walked away from Breath of the Wild. And I understand that in the greater canon, kind of why, from Age of Calamity. That being said, I want them to do something that's gonna surprise me. And that's what Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild did. And that's what Zelda, I think, has been known to do. The only thing that I would have wanted from this game in terms of DLC would have been some sort of Zelda-based story where I play as Zelda. I would have liked that.
That'd be cool.
They made her an Ultimate Warrior style lady. Who had really cool powers, and then we're just gonna walk away from that, you know? Like, it's crazy to me.
I feel like this is the most like capable one, you know, that could do something. I know a lot of them had powers, but I feel like she could really use like tools and all kinds of stuff. I feel like there's definitely potential there.
Yep.
I guess to go back on what I was saying earlier, I feel like they could do a little bit of both. Like, look at Metroid and Mario. Like, Metroid has Metroid Dread, and supposedly they're still working on Metroid Prime 4 somewhere.
We'll get to that.
Things like, even I know, even back in like the GameCube days, you know, you had Prime, you had Fusion literally coming out on the same day. I feel like they could do that sort of same thing with Zelda. You know, give us the safer top-down 2D one, I guess, safer, and then do whatever you want. Do something crazy with that 3D one. Mario, like I said, did Wonder, and it did Odyssey a few years ago. Like, those are still basically both live versions of Mario, so to speak. I very much think they could do that. Now, I think one of the biggest things I do want from Zelda, and I know how they feel on the whole timeline thing. I kind of like the idea of it myself. Just because it feels really rewarding when, like, you know, I was in like 3rd grade fighting Ganondorf for my first time, and he got sealed away, and was like, ooh, I wonder if we'll see him again. And then years later, when I was like graduating high school, I finally got to kill him, you know, like in Twilight Princess. That sounds really violent, but you know what I mean? It just felt really rewarding. So I like that continuity, but I also get where they kind of just want to do their own thing. But what one of my complaints, I guess, with the story of Tears of the Kingdom is where they just sort of, not only did they separate themselves so far from all the past stuff, like even Breath of the Wild, they just sort of like threw a lot of things aside for no reason. Like the Guardians weren't, I don't even think they were mentioned. And there were little things like that. Like they mentioned the imprisoning war, which was not, like there's already an imprisoning war.
Right.
Why did they, could you just not name it something else? It's like they purposefully did things just to mess with it. It's like, I really feel like you all could do a little more with the story on this. Like, this could be Nintendo's big way to get into a big video game story, and I feel like they just won't let themselves go there. Just a little more something, a little more meat. is all I'm asking for on that. I don't need that out of Mario or whatever else. Just
I do.
like they could.
I do. I desperately need it out of Mario. No, I'm just kidding. You kind of talked a little bit about the Zelda timeline stuff, and that was kind of revealed recently, with let me see here. What was his name? I can never remember it. Fujibayashi. He had talked about, because they asked him, when you're developing a new Zelda title, obviously your primary focus is on core gameplay, but the timeline placement discussion has become more important and prevalent among fans of the series. How much consideration and importance does that put into those discussions? And I mean, pretty much what Eiji Aonuma and his co-creator, director Fujibayashi said was, that's not important to us. That puts us in a box. We don't even really want to consider that. And part of that, like, rips my heart apart. I mean, I've got this just chilling in the background. Well, you can't see it. I got a piece of paper on it. Anyway, I've got my Hyrule Historia just chilling in the background back here. Like, that is a real thing, a publication that they actually put out on from Nintendo. I mean, they approved this. There is a timeline. Like, you can't just ignore that. A live viewer in the chat here, Calamity Nolan, says at least make it a doomed parallel universe. They don't even care to do that. They don't care. They don't care about the timeline. They don't care about canon. They don't care about any of that. And it's frustrating.
Well, there's so many YouTubers and stuff that's always like trying to decode, where is this? How does this make sense and all that, which is kind of fun, but I think ultimately it just doesn't make sense. They don't know where it lies either in the timeline,
They literally put it out and said, figure it out, fans. And it was just like a challenge, and that's fine. It's fine.
It is.
Whatever.
But I think it doesn't fit. So, it's like giving you a puzzle piece and being like, oh, yeah, you can figure it out yourself. I'm like, okay, but it actually doesn't fit anywhere.
Right. 1000%. I'm with you. And it's just, it's one of those things that, like, I don't know. Timeline is important. I really do like, though, what Fujibayashi says here about this. He says, as you mentioned, we realize fans have a great time theorizing and enjoy thinking about where things fit on the timeline. That's something the development team recognizes and it considers, but to an extent, and I say to an extent because if we get too into the weeds or too detailed in the placement, it results in creating restraints for our creativity, which I agree with from that standpoint. Like, I understand where he's coming from. But if Nintendo has created this and did it as fan service for the fans and said, okay, we're going to take what you guys said, we're going to put it in publication, we're going to endorse it as official, that's on them. Like, figure it out. Keep the timeline canonical. Help us understand and interpret that where it should belong, and stick with it. You guys endorsed it. Let us have it. So I don't know. Like, that's just kind of where I land on that. I really want more details on timeline and placement and everything like that. And I like when they do kind of understand that their storytelling, every detail of it is important over the past 35 years of Zelda,
Make it feel like it mattered,
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. That's the big thing.
Even if it's a small way, just,
Right. Just give us just that little nugget. That being said, those are kind of our thoughts on the future of Zelda, what we want, what we think has been accomplished with Tears of the Kingdom, whether or not we believe everything has been exhausted in that world or not. I think Josh and I are both kind of on that train. I said at the beginning I wanted more, but I slowly came along after listening to him talk. Yeah, I think we've kind of had our time.
I went in circles. I know I did, but that's where I'm at right now. Is I'm going in circles with myself on that. Is I just don't know.
Yep, I don't know.
I'm kind of okay to move on.
Yep, I'm ready to put that world behind me. Except I want to play as Zelda, and that's the only other thing I want out of that game. So that's it.
Yeah.
That being said, we've got some extra Nintendo news that is coming around the corner here. There were a couple of things that happened this past week. The first thing here, Nintendo Live Tokyo. has been canceled. All of this is in Japanese. Translated if you would like. I can't. But basically, the gist of it is that they canceled it due to threats to event staff and attendees. A couple of the things that I did see was that Nintendo has gotten threats before. Employees of Nintendo have gotten threats before. They didn't really cancel it because of that. But when these threats started happening toward their event staff and their attendees for there, canceling that was absolutely the best course of action for them. And I think they did the right thing. There are a couple of tournaments that are going to be going on that have been postponed to a later date. They may end up doing those remotely. I could fully see that happening. Possibly, because it is a Super Smash Bros. Tournament and a Mario Kart tournament, which could easily be accomplished remotely. I think there's a Splatoon tournament as well, because Nintendo loves Splatoon, and specifically Japan loves Splatoon too. Yeah. So I could totally see that happening, and I may have missed that in some of the press releases, but that's been canceled. Also of note here, director Wes Ball claims that he is aiming to have his live-action Legend of Zelda movie be as close to live-action Miyazaki as we know from Studio Ghibli, as close to a live-action Miyazaki film as possible. We know that this guy is absolutely the CG guy for Hollywood. He's done Maze Runner and he's doing a Planet of the Apes movie, and that's virtually it. That's all we know from him. But all of those are very like CG heavy. And part of me worries that we're going to get a whole lot of CG enemies, like the bokoblins. There are some of those that you definitely have to do CG. You definitely have to do CG.
Oh yeah.
And I think they went with him because I mean he is the king of it. If you look at the apes that he's put in Planet of the Apes, the CG on those creatures are very, very, very good. So I'm not super worried about some of the production from that, but I would like to see a lot more practical effects brought in. But I do like his quote here. He says, Ball describes his vision as this awesome fantasy adventure movie that isn't like Lord of the Rings. It's its own thing. I've always said I would love to see a live action Miyazaki, that wonder and whimsy that he brings to things. I would love to see something like that. And that is something that I would be kind of down for. And Tears of the Kingdom Breath of the Wild leans into that very, very well, I think, from an aesthetic standpoint. And it almost makes me think like that's the direction that they're going with this film is Tears of the Kingdom Breath of the Wild aesthetic. So that's probably the most recognizable for most casual game players these days anyway. Next on the list, we had 3 classic N64 games get added to NSO Online. We got Harvest Moon 64. We also got 1080 snowboarding, and we got oh my gosh, Jet Force Gemini. I was trying to remember the name of this game because I missed this one as a kid. I didn't play Jet Force Gemini. I did find it interesting that the addition of Jet Force Gemini and 007 GoldenEye in, I believe it was Japan, and also coming to Australia, created an adult channel on there for these mature rated games, because those games skirted under the board here for ESRB. They were T for teen or lower. But it did create this new adult NSO app on Japanese and Australian Switch users' consoles. So I don't know. Did you?
Yeah, we still don't have Diddy Kong Racing. Like, what the heck?
I'm doing my best here. I just need to talk to Chucky Martinet. I need to get in touch with Uncle Dougie Bowser. I need to like make sure that these people know we want this. But eventually I'll talk to Phil Spencer and get him to bring Diddy Kong Racing to our NSO. But it was a good time. I really enjoyed it. I actually played 1080 snowboarding quite a bit last night. It was everything I remembered it to be. I had the old N64 Joy-Con I was using to play. Mm-hmm. It was such a good time. Josh.
Yeah.
Heavily recommend it. I haven't gotten to check out the other 2 games just yet. I'm sure they're just fine. Also of note, we had the Game Awards this past week. We did our own version of this to give Nintendo the flowers they deserve, because we know that Jeff is not going to. But Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom takes home Best Action Adventure Game, Super Mario Bros. Wonder, Best Family Game, and Pikmin 4 Best Sim Strategy Game, which, I mean, I can't really complain about that. Nintendo took home 3 awards out of the, 20 categories? That was more than 10% of the awards, you know?
Yeah, my 3 favorites from this year all won 1 award at least. It's more than Spider-Man did.
Oh my gosh. Dude, the Spider-Man fans.
I do feel sorry for those fans.
They're up in arms, and I don't blame them because
they
that game was awesome.
got 7 nominations, though.
Oh, yeah.
It looks good.
Oh, yeah, nominations for their one game.
I mean, it's more than what Hogwarts got, and I feel like that was a good game, so I don't know what happened there.
That is right. Hogwarts got absolutely...
They didn't get anything for some reason.
Absolutely shunned from the TGA. Oh my gosh.
It's something.
I didn't even think about that. I totally forgot about that. I was glad to see these guys end up getting some flowers that they deserve, though. So, yeah. Pikmin 4 was your game of the year for last year. Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, it was a very close race. That's what I chose last week when I just kind of randomly picked one.
I understand.
We'll go with that, though. We'll go with that.
And Super Mario Bros. Wonder, which we both agreed was great, and it did deserve to take home something. Best Family Game. It was a good one. I can't complain. It was a good show for them. Rumor mill, and the reason this wasn't covered during the show is because, again, this is a rumor. Metroid Prime 4 development rumored to have already been completed. Delay is due to cutscenes. So the development Nintendo and Retro Studios Metroid Prime 4 is already complete, and the delay is due to cutscenes based on the latest rumor. This comes from Game Infinitus, and they are citing a leaker named Pape Genos. I'm not really sure.
Genos. I know who Papa Genos is, yeah.
He shared on Discord that, as per his sources, the development of Metroid Prime 4 has been complete since some time, and that the delay is due to unfinished cutscenes. According to him, cutscenes were, quote, really bad, or was a few months ago, and this is what is essentially delaying the game. And they do say, though, in here, that they believe that this is still being developed specifically for the Nintendo Switch, not whatever the successor to the Nintendo Switch is going to be called. So plans are still that we might see Metroid Prime 4 on Nintendo Switch this console generation, which would be great. I think at this point, how many years has it been since this was announced? So,
that big 4 during the, I think it was in an E3 Direct maybe or something. I can't remember. Yep. Yeah, I remember that. That was a long time ago. And I think I pre-ordered it. I could almost look that up on my Amazon. I pre-ordered it that same day, I think.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh,
it's just been sitting there rotting.
I'm keeping my fingers crossed we see something soon. I don't know when. If anything, if they gave us this game, that would be the last thing that I really want from my Nintendo Switch now, because I've got Paper Mario coming. This is the finale.
I'd be cool with that. It could be the big finale. I was really happy that one time. Well, not happy. I was maybe relieved the first time when they came out and actually did an official announcement, hey, it's getting delayed, we're switching teams or whatever. I was honestly glad that Retro got it back. I just feel like they proved themselves before, and I feel like that's at least the Prime version. Yep. I don't want to say this wrong, but I feel like it being handled by a Western studio might be the best idea for that.
I understand.
For that kind of game.
I understand. Western development understands American action entertainment in a way that I don't believe that necessarily Eastern development does. And that's not any kind of diss.
It goes both ways.
It does. Yeah. We don't understand RPGs. Western developers don't understand RPGs. I have hardly played a Western developed RPG that I actually enjoyed, but let's give it to whoever can do it. Nolan in the chat also still watching. Thank you. E3 2017 is what he has here of when that was announced. So a good 7 years ago. Going on 8 now. So we've had children in that time. It's crazy.
You did, didn't you?
Yep, I've had 2 of them.
Mine wasn't talking, I think, when that was announced, or she was maybe just slightly, but yeah, we've gone through a lot in that amount of time.
Oh man. But that being said, the final news piece here, E3 posts on Twitter just randomly today from the ESA, the Entertainment Software Association. After more than 2 decades of E3, each one bigger than the last, the time has come to say goodbye. Thanks for the memories. GGWP. Which is sad But at the same time, the writing's been on the wall for the last like 3-4 years.
Yeah.
Like,
it was kind of a like, oh yeah, by the way, we really are dead. I was just letting you know.
Yeah,
I hate to see it go myself.
At least they didn't do that. Just like quietly, never come back, like never post anything, never say anything. They acknowledged, hey, people have wanted E3, and I used to love E3. I looked at E3 as this like mecca for gamers in such a huge way, and I wanted to go to E3 growing up because I caught it on freaking G4. G4 Tech TV way back in the day. I loved watching the coverage from there, and that was like my first introduction to gaming news as far as that goes. That it just blew me away, and you got to see all the new stuff. You got to experience all the new stuff. You got to talk to the people who made your favorite things. That was like high on my list of things that I wanted to do. And then I got older. I went to a lot of GameStop expos, which was a very similar experience in some ways because we got to see some things really early. I was actually one of the first people outside of Nintendo to play Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, which was really cool. It was one of those things that like I don't think in today's environment and atmosphere with so much competition and rising costs that E3 could have ever continued to maintain their standings within gaming journalism and providing an event the way that it has. And it's sad. It's sad. What are your thoughts, dude?
Well, and I think like you were saying too, it's hard for them to stand up to the companies themselves sort of shifting over to doing their own things. When you don't have the big three playing ball with you, like you just can't do it.
Yep.
But no, I'm disappointed to see it go. I know it's kind of had its ups and downs over the past few years, but it's always been a huge event. As soon as, well, especially when you could watch it like live on online or whatever. I've went over to Indiana more than once with the crew there and watched it. I drove that far just to go have a little party to watch E3 and stuff. I've had friends over here before, my friend Zach in particular. Before that, checking out things in Nintendo Power and just on their website. And E3 2004 was awesome because I got a little DVD for it. Like you could watch all of it, or most of it all from there.
Power, right? I'm kidding.
I think
was it?
I can't remember. I might have got it from GameStop.
Oh, okay, yeah. Probably like a Game Informer or whatever it was back then, like a packing kind of thing, right?
I can't remember, but it had like the Twilight Princess reveal on that. It is one of the most like epic moments. Like even looking back on that, I almost get chills. I don't know why. I love that game too. But seeing Miyamoto come out with the sword and everything, that was just really special. Moments like that, and then Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle announcement, and seeing Davide get all worked up on there and everything. Just cool moments like that. I won't forget. I always, like you said, I've always wanted to go to it. That was one of my biggest things. Is like I really, really wanted to go to E3 someday. It never happened, but it does make me more grateful that I did get to go to Gamescom a few years ago, and get just a taste of that. Because it felt very similar. I didn't see like a whole lot of big announcements, maybe, but get to see something like that. I'm sad again, like E3 is gone, but maybe there's still room for similar things again, like Gamescom. Mm-hmm. I remember walking up to, I was there. I won't go into the whole story, but I was there with Ubisoft, and I remember I broke off like by myself near the beginning. I was like, all right, guys, I got to go do something myself. And because I hung out with a group most of the time, really, really great group of people. But I found the building is huge there, and I found the Nintendo booth, and like I honestly teared up like as soon as I saw it because I was like I felt like I was there, like I got a little emotional.
I completely understand. I understand with everything.
I'm glad that happened at least. Yeah.
Damn.
So.
Good memories.
We'll see what happens.
Sad to see it go. I understand why. I think if Jeff Keighley can save gaming entertainment and actually get some involvement from Nintendo, something beyond just Xbox and Sony, I think Jeff Keighley's Summer of Games Fest is going to be like a good thing for that industry. But it is sad to see E3 go through the death throes of what they're going through. That being said, we have, in that somber moment, that moment of silence we just gave for him, we do have a couple of video game announcements. Josh, do you want to take this away while I show off some trailers?
Yeah, let me pick them up here. So, a lot of these actually, I haven't looked into a whole lot. So the first one here we've got is Hellwell on December the 13th. He's going to play the trailer here, I believe, for it.
Yeah. It's going.
Yeah. It is $4.99 here. We've got, I'm going to say this wrong. I believe it was Palia, wasn't it?
I think it's Palia. I'm pretty sure it is Palia.
Yeah, it's December the 13th. It's actually a free-to-play game. So that's easy sometimes. I know not everybody loves the free-to-play style, but sometimes I've found a few fun ones just by giving it a quick go, you know?
This one kind of gives me like Disney's Dreamlight Valley vibes when I look at it in some ways, with like also a mix of Stardew, or there was another game that came out that was like earlier this year, Harvestella, I believe. I might be wrong on that, but that had like JRPG elements in it. But Harvestella, I think, had like this kind of vibe going on too. But I think for these like farm sim style games, lifestyle games, I think free to play is a totally fine price point. It will make me interested.
Yeah, and if that's your type of game, it's not for everybody, but for sure, it'd be worth a quick download. Of course, we've got the Pokemon Scarlet Violet, the Hidden Treasure of Area Zero Part 2, the Indigo. That's a long name.
It is. Every time I said it,
DLC.
I'm like, why? Why does it have to be so long?
It is December the 14th and includes the Teal Mask, which I believe was the previous part of the DLC package they got.
That was
$34.99 together. Yeah.
You got to make sure you buy the right version of that too, because if you get the Scarlet version and you are playing on Violet, it will not work. So you have to get the right version of that DLC as well. So my advice is just look it up from the DLC page of the actual game itself.
I wonder how many people have messed that up.
Oh my gosh.
It's so hard to get a refund.
Dude, they've done DLC like that every year. And it's like always version specific DLC. And I've had to, like, when I worked at GameStop, I've had to calm down so many people who purchased the wrong thing. Yeah. And it's like, I'm sorry, I can't get your money back. I'm not Nintendo. I just sold you currency. But I can get you enough currency to get the other version and the right version. I'm sorry.
You're doing what you can.
Yep.
Well, Pokemon team.
Oh my gosh.
So the next one here is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge Anniversary Edition, which is a fantastic game, by the way. This is the physical only version of it on December the 15th. It includes the base game, the Dimension Shell Shock DLC, and a couple of physical goodies. It's there for 30. Good gosh, it's getting late. I can't speak. $34.99. If you haven't played that, have we played it before? I can't remember.
We have. You and I think I jumped online and we finished up the last of the achievements you needed for like co-op. It was take out Shredder without going down.
The DLC
I think
we did, didn't we?
Yeah, it was really
something
cool.
Like that. Yeah,
I had a good time with it.
Yeah, I love that. That was a really, really good beat 'em up game. I will say with the accomplishments on that, I have one that has haunted me. I got on with Jeremiah, but the guy who actually illustrated my book. We went through on the hardest difficulty on arcade mode, and you had to get all the way through it, in one setting, and not get a game over. And we did it, like barely, but we did it. And during the credits, the internet crapped out.
Oh no!
And it did not save.
No. I hate that. I hate that for you.
I've never went back to do it again.
I don't blame you. Maybe we should give it a shot. Maybe we could do it on stream or something.
I need to. It is a really great game, but you got to know what you're doing. You got to have some competent people to play with.
Yep. I will say this is physical only though too for everybody. So if you're looking to get it at your favorite retailer. I've got it here on Target listed, but you can get it at Walmart, Best Buy, just everywhere.
Shouldn't be a hard one to find. I am a little jealous on things like this where they come out so much later. I'm like, I was a day one buyer, I wish if this was there then I would have got it.
Yep.
I know it's just how it works with some of these. Well, the next one, the last one we got here, you were talking about this earlier. I may pronounce this one wrong. Is Terra Neil?
You got it right. You got it right as far as I know.
December 18th. Let's see. Lost the listing here. It is $24.99. At least that's what the Steam price is. Yeah, there we go. That's what I was looking at. The listing on the eShop is unavailable at the moment, but usually I would assume a game like that is the same. Some things there is a Switch tax for, but I think something like that we're going to be fine.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. This game was it was featured on the Games for Impact for the Game Awards too, so I think it's interesting that this was announced so quickly after TGA that it's coming to Nintendo Switch eShop. I do find it weird that there is no like eShop listing of it, at least at the time when I wrote this script for us today. But that being said, out the 18th, I'm excited for it. If you like simulation building, kind of top-down isometric view sim games, go check it out. It looks cool.
That sounds very, very, very oddly specific, but yeah, I mean,
if you like that,
I'm glad. Yeah, there's a big list here of a lot of things coming out, but sometimes it really is worth digging in the weeds a little bit because you might find something really cool. Something really just made for you. So could be worth giving a shot.
Absolutely.
But all right. I think that is about it for tonight, don't you think?
I do. I think we hit the end of it. We're at an hour and 9 minutes. We're doing good today on time.
Yeah, not too bad. I will go ahead and wrap this up then. Buddy, where can they find you?
You can find me over on Threads. That's where I post most of my musings, at Nerdwire Plays. You can catch me over on Instagram as well, TikTok, all the jazz. But the place that you'll see me the most often is typically here nightly on twitch.tv/Nerdwire Plays. And you, Josh?
Yeah, so my biggest gaming circle, so to speak, is, at least still for the time being, on Twitter, X, whatever. It's at Whopper744 Games. Most other places, I'm just Whopper744. So I'm also on Threads. I'm on Instagram, all those good things. So you can find me anywhere like that. Yeah. There you go.
Awesome.
You can catch all of our episodes in audio form on Apple Podcast. Also videos on YouTube.
Eventually.
Yes, eventually. That is true. I should add that note in there. The videos on YouTube at youtube.com at the Nintendo Rewind. Right now, you can join our Facebook group also at facebook.com/groups/Nintendo Rewind. Shouldn't be too hard to remember. It's a nice little place to go hang out and post. And visit our social page on Threads as well. Of course, is at Nintendo Rewind. Thank you all for watching, and remember that you can catch us live every week at the same time, Tuesday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time on twitch.tv/NerdWirePlays.
Thank you, guys, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Bye.
Yeah, see you next time.